Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Citizens News Bureau here on Catskills Air Network. And on this episode, I'm excited to have my good friend, singer, songwriter, producer, multi-talented man, Mr. Murali Coryell. How are you, handsome?
Oh, gosh, you're too kind, Sonny. I am awesome out here in Austin. So
Nice.
it's music and food from the jump, and played last night. And this is one of 21 or 22 gigs on this tour.
Well, you're back in it, it looks like, right? I mean, things are starting to open up and things are cooking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, right before I left, I played at the Blackthorn Resort in East Durham on a Saturday night outside. It was amazing.
A couple of people told me they saw you there, yeah.
It was packed, and just the feel, to see the feeling that everybody appreciates so much, to have live music back. The people needed it as much as the musicians. Like, we all missed it. Some people there, they already knew who I was, but then I met some, I made friends, like just strangers, they just met you. But, when you play music and you put it out there, they start just telling you their life story and saying, dude, you can stay at my house if you ever want to, or if you ever, you know what I mean? And so music has brought me all over the world and made me have friends all over the world. It's a good thing to have.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm grateful to have spend some time on stage with you, Murali. Hope we can do it again. And
that was a task crew, and we did a few things back in the day,
Yeah, the Pro Jam thing. We did.
Yes, that was great.
Right, that's fun.
Yeah.
So I'm working on getting that back together, Bearsville or Helsinki or something. But I'll have, we'll do that again. One of the things about the Catskill Mountains, I think it's a magical place. Not only as we discussed about music, but overall, I think it's a really spiritual, beautiful place in a lot of different levels. And I want to see what your take is on that.
I grew up in like Connecticut, in the woods, right? And so the part of New York where I live in the woods, it just feels very comfortable to me. It's kind of, and here's the thing. When I'm driving down Route 28, from Kingston to Boyceville, and I see that mountain, and I see that, all of a sudden it just goes boom, home. And the other thing is, I grew up in Connecticut, but I went to college at SUNY New Paltz, which it's a beautiful campus. So this first time I was ever really hanging out in the Hudson Valley and seeing the beautiful mountains and the Shawgunk. And then, of course, New York. I mean, people think about New York City, but outside of New York City, there's so much other beauty, and there's talent. And yeah, so I'm really grateful that we, for people like you and the different musicians. It's like a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of people around. There's a lot of talent around, and it's important to get the local love. Yeah, it is a magical place, and to me, there's a level of culture, sophistication, but also down home countryness almost, and all that makes it unique. Just kind of thinking off the top of my head.
What do you think about that whole concept? I bounced it off you. That Catskill Mountain sound. I've been kind of on this thing. I've asked other guests about it. I mean, obviously the band came in, created a sound there. Is there not everybody, but there's a lot of us that are not from the Catskills that call the Catskills our home now. And a lot of musicians, So I'm thinking, I've been thinking about this thing. Are bands coming up with their own Catskill Mountain sound, like the Memphis Horns or the Chess Record guys had a sound, or the down at Fame Studios there was a sound, Is there a sound coming out of the Catskills?
Yeah, a lot of people that live in New York, whether it's New York City or upstate New York, they may not necessarily, like half of them probably are not from there, right? Or born there originally. Yeah. So wherever they came from, they brought something. They brought wherever they came from, they have that. It can be like a melting thing where you feel what's going on in the scene there, and it becomes a thing, and it's the artists, it's the artists that if you're choosing to live in that area, and that's what you do, like you're going to have a sound, and your sound is influenced. And so, and the thing is because I've made it a point to, like you have too, to spend a lot of time in the very famous musical like cities, like blues cities, Memphis, New Orleans, Chicago, and Austin, which is where I am now. And so if I hadn't gone to Austin, it's like, for me, I'm going away and I come back with learning more. And then I bring that back home. Like, to me, it is very much shaped by the people, because it's not just the artist, it's the audience. Because I'm the kind of person that I vibe off of the audience. Like I look at them and because I've been all around the world, like when I'm home in New York State and I think, well, I played in Russia and they didn't even understand what I was saying. And so like we're here in America, in New York State, here where I live, I'm sure we can find some stuff to play that we're all going to like. It's an ongoing, growing process. I mean, we're not Nashville, we're not Chicago, we're not New York. Like I would say though, in a lot of ways, like the Catskills and the greater Hudson Valley and the Catskills and Albany and out to Syracuse, okay, and Rochester, Buffalo. There's a more of a blues scene than there has always been in New York City, okay, and so like there just weren't that many blues clubs to play in New York City where you could do the circuit and go throughout New York State. The dinosaur barbecues, whatever. Get a lot of shows opening up for B.B. King and George Thorogood throughout New York State at big theaters. And then that would help me get gigs at smaller venues with my own band. And so then all that experience, you bring it back to your hometown area. So now you're part of that sound. If you live there and you are performing there, it's a living, breathing, active, developing, organic, growing thing.
I agree. And one of the things that I love about your stuff, especially the Sugar Lips album, I love that album.
I love that album.
Well, I love all your albums, but whenever I hear you, it doesn't matter if it's from an early record or a brand new song. I know it's you.
Thank
and the
you.
style of how you play and how you sing, your phrasing and your guitar work and everything. I mean, it's very distinctive. And a lot of people don't have that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter who guys you're playing with, you still sound like Murali Coryell to me.
Sonny, you just brought up, a pretty major point about the whole thing of music. And like what we all start out imitating and learning from our favorite, bands and musicians and singers. And then eventually everybody that I've ever, some of my idols that I met, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Wayne Shorter. And I literally said, like, I want to be like you. And they said, no, man, you're going to find your own thing. They both said that. And it's hard to find your own thing. Some people maybe don't even know, maybe they don't even have a thing, or it's not what they think it is, I was talking to somebody last night where like, I did a show in San Diego at the Belly Up Tavern years ago. And then David Lee Roth had played the night before and his set list was still on the stage. And it was all cover tunes. It was like Honky Tonk Woman and different cover tunes. And it was just like, wow, because it's a thing as an artist, like it's taking a chance if you're going to do more of your original stuff sometimes, like it's easier to be safer. But like I've come to the point where like I am going to play the way that I feel for today. And and my whole plan is today, I'm better than I was yesterday. I should be a little bit more experienced. This is the 1,001st time I've sang this song. So maybe it should be a little bit better. I find another way to make it easier. Trying to get out of the way sometimes, and just let the music flow.
A quick story on my side is living in Los Angeles for years. I ended up doing 2 records under Eddie Kramer at A&M.
I met Eddie Kramer, did one of my dad's albums, and I had him sign it. Yeah,
he's cool, right? And so they knew that I was going to bug Eddie about John Bonham like crazy. And it wasn't the days when we had cell phones, we could find everything. So I came in the studio one day, and there's Eddie. He's got 2 cups of coffee. He says, we're going to sit on Sunset in Fairfax. We're going to have a 1-hour conversation. If I hear anything more about Bonham, you're fired. I wanted to play like Bonham. I wanted to always play like Bonham. And so Eddie at one point triggered my drums with samples of John Bonham's.
No way.
So we tracked this song, one of our songs, the band Dust and Bones. And he called me into the booth, and he's all excited. He goes, sit down, listen to it. I listened to it, and I said, that doesn't sound anything like John Bonham. He said, exactly, dumbass. He said, play the way you play. Wow. Do your thing. And I was young, 27, 28, you know.
What a lesson.
Said, what a lesson. And that's when I decided I needed to do whatever it is that I do. And I think a big compliment when I get a call is, for a studio thing especially, we need you to do that thing that you do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So whatever that is, I don't know what that thing is I do.
Be you.
You're right, man. And so what a valuable lesson. And I really didn't even get it then. It took years later. And I ran to Eddie at the NAMM show one year, and I said, Eddie, thanks, man. Right on. And he goes, and he said, are you still a dumbass? I said, I always will.
You know, that is a great story. I mean, and so Joe Louis Walker, to a similar point, he said, it's better to be a bad version of yourself than a good version of somebody else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now you're making me think.
Good.
So I was playing in Syracuse one night at the Dinosaur Barbecue. And all of a sudden, famous blues guitarist, blues rock guitarist, and he's there and he's checking me out. And then I went into Stevie Ray Vaughan mode. Like, somebody said Stevie Ray, and then I played, which I love to do, but like, that's not real. Like, if I could have done it again, I would have played my original thing for him, because I almost got the feeling he was going, oh, he's just doing the Stevie Ray thing, you know, which is, of course, everybody, we love him. But then, I don't know, you know, like I don't want to ever be known as just a clone of somebody else. And the thing is, back to your point, I could never be as good as him, and we could never be as good as John Bonham. So we're inspired by them and we learn from them, but ultimately we're going to try to be ourselves, you know, take some of that influence, but knowing that we could never be them, you know, we can only, and that's the thing. I mean, that's an ongoing forever thing.
Also at that time, I was a hard rock, heavy metal drummer doing that thing. Came back to New York, and after the scene was over, I needed to play differently to keep working, obviously.
Right.
And I came back and I started picking up influences from the band, of course, Lee Von Helm, which I wasn't really into on the West Coast, but I know Lee Von, the guy, the Little Feat guys, the Steely Dan guys, that are all in our neighborhood. Yep. It was a big influence on me, molding me into something very different. A lot of the funk stuff that you love and play, along with Jay Collins, hanging around with him too. You get a lot of that, soul and R&B stuff going on. So I'm really digging those influences.
It's rich.
It's rich.
Because all those people, they make their home here, but they've gone out and gotten all this stuff. And then it's like we bring it back and share it, Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember going down to the Delta in Memphis and Clarksdale my first couple of times with Taz crew. And I'm shuffling my way and I think I'm bad. I'm bad. I got shuffled. And some old blues drummer come on, but that ain't the blues, boy.
That's
the thing, right?
Yeah.
And learn how to double flow and all these different shuffles I didn't know anything about, and because I thought, a blues song or a shuffle song was an early Led Zeppelin record, and these guys are laying down these serious double shuffle grooves that were bad.
Yeah, bad. There's a difference between a rock shuffle and a blues shuffle, and the truth is those of us that have devoted our life to the music and the study of it, there's a lot of different kinds of shuffles, but and all kinds of different grooves, and the album that I made, 2120, it had like 15 or 16 songs on it, and they were all, not one of them was even really similar to each other, and so there is a tremendous, it's the simple things that are hard to do well, they're hard to do really well. And this, the shuffles, okay. So I was just talking to Ernie Durawa, who's on the hat here, and he read an article in Modern Drummer. It's about, he's a cardiologist and a drummer, and he was breaking down the actual rhythm of the heartbeat is a shuffle. It's
Yeah,
a
man.
shuffle.
I've always thought
Dub,
that,
dub,
but don't.
dub, dub, dub,
Yeah.
dub, dub, dub. And he said, you can count it. It's coming in on the end of one, or you can think of it as it's on the end of four or whatever. So it's like, it's deep, man. And another thing he said is, your band will only be as good as your drummer is.
Yeah,
so
right.
the drummer really sets the attitude for the band, because the dynamics, and drums was my first instrument. So I love to play the drums. I don't like tuning the drums, but I
You played at
love
Pro
to.
Jam, remember? You sat at
Yes.
yeah, man.
Like I love to play the drums. I love to play the bass. I love to sing backups. For me, it's all about the music. And it's just like whatever I can do to help raise it up, or if I can add something, if I can fill in, put something there that was going to help raise it up. And it's also understanding, because I play drums and bass, and because I use different bands sometimes, it helps me to be able to communicate. I could just say, it's this. And then you learn the language sometimes, it's a double shuffle, or, some places they say this is a lump-de-lump, or some people will say, okay, this is Jimmy Reed style, or, okay, this is Chuck Berry style. This is Magic Sam style. And from playing with Duke Robillard, Joe Louis Walker, in Chicago, San Francisco, New York, Nebraska, Kansas City, St. Louis, they all have sometimes different names for stuff.
Box shuffles. Yeah.
It's like learning this language, which is, it's never like the blues. Maybe people have been studying it more, but it really is such a recent thing as far as like geologically speaking, that there's so much that has influenced this, the whole universe. And that's why, having the strong blues roots like I do, it helps me in whatever music I play, because it's about having a feeling, because blues is a feeling that you can't really describe it. Like there's no words for it. It's a feeling. Like music, you can't see it, but you can feel it, and it's there. You study music so that you practice music so that when you go to play, you don't think about it, because that's the way I want it to be. And like last night we played for like a few hours, and we lost track of time. I thought we were going to come back for another set, and they're like, no, dude, we already played it over, and they're cool. And the tip jar is full. Yeah.
That's the best.
And,
yeah.
So, I lose all sense of time and any troubles. And when you get into that zone, and if you can make people feel the music the way you're feeling it, that's my goal. Because I feel it really hard, man. I feel it really hard. And so I want them if I can get them to feel the way I do, then they're going to love it because I love it.
Very cool. All right. So tell me, when you get back, what gigs do you have in the Catskills? Where can we find Murali Coryell? Websites? What do you got going?
Oh, yeah. Definitely MuraliCoryell.com is the updated website, my own personal website. I got 2 Facebook pages. The personal page is pretty much maxed out, but there's some room. And then I have a band page, which has over 3,000 followers. And I'm on Instagram as well. And I'm on Spotify, and I'm on Pandora. I'm on YouTube. I'm out there, and it's so great to be able to be playing live music. And what would be so cool is if in New York State, if we have the ability, man, if we can have more weekday gigs, not just weekend gigs, it will really help the local musicians. Because that's the difference. It's like, I'll be playing like at Mariners Harbor, for example, in Kingston. I'll definitely be playing back at the Blackthorn Resort for sure in East Durham. So that's Catskills right straight up. Other places I'm doing, I've been asked to play in Red Hook at one point for a summer concert. Different things, I'm sure I'll probably play, there's different venues, and I'll be around, and I'm, there's a lot of stuff. People miss it. So there's a lot of stuff, and whatever venues are hiring, that's where we go. But it would be great to increase like the musical like venues or opportunities to play. If we can get some clubs that are known to have music like every night. I mean, we got the Falcon, we got the Town Crier, but those are not up in the Catskills. Those are further down, And so, you know what I mean? Like the more stuff we can do, it's more opportunities for us. And then that will help just really spread the word because we have talent, and people love it. These are, and so, I love coming to Texas. I love traveling all over the world, but there's nothing more than I think I love playing at home because I'm home and I'm back home with my family. I'm not away for a month. I'm only away for a few hours. My dog has no clue how long I'm going to be gone for,
Yeah, right. What do you have recording wise coming up? Anything new being released?
Well, I did a recording with Joe Louis Walker on his latest album. He recorded a funky version of Hotel California, and I played. He asked me to play guitar on it along with him. And then we also did this. There was a PBS documentary called Driving While Black, which won all these awards. And we both Joe Louis Walker and I, we recorded, he sang it and played this Elmore James slide part. And I accompanied him on rhythm guitar, Dust My Broom. And so, that was really cool to be able to do some music projects during the COVID time because there was no live stuff happening. And so as far as recordings, we may do some recording out here, like we only have a couple of days off, but like by the time we get playing a few gigs, we're going to be so good that it's like, dude, we should record because we're really nailing it. And so I look for the opportunities. I mean, I there's a lot of friends I have that have studios and they invite me to record. And so it just takes, time and money, which is not in abundance all the time. But I'm accomplishing a lot here playing. And then when I, come home, I'll have all this other stuff, maybe some recordings, but certainly a lot more of touring and playing and learning new songs. Like I'm always learning new songs,
Of course.
And I like trying out some of the Texas songs on the Catskill people because they really like it.
Well, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
I thank you, brother. I thank you for joining us. And
this is the latest CD right here. I'm wearing the shirt, made in Texas.
There you go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody, get a hold of Murali, find him, buy his merch, see him live. He'll sign something for you live, and it'll be awesome, man.
And I give lessons. I do like Zoom lessons now and things like that. So on vocals, I teach vocals, guitar, bass, drums, music, songwriting, whatever.
Look at him. He's taking up the whole market. There's nothing left for the rest of us.
No. It's music therapy, man. Music is therapy.
I know, man. But anyway, Murali, thank you so much, my friend. I'll see you in the hood soon, I guess. And be safe on your travels. No, I'll see you soon.
For sure, Sonny. Thank you, bro.
All right, bro. Love you, man.
Peace out.
Yeah, be well.